So I said for the odd numbers, they are numbers when you divide it by 2, it leaves a remainder of 1. So any number that after dividing by 2, we have a remainder of 1, then that number can be termed as what? An odd number. So when we pick, let's say the number 1, you see that 1 divided by 2, we will get what? 0 remainder what? 1, right? So 1 is an odd number. 2, when we divide 2 by 2, we are going to get 1 remainder what? 0. So what it means is that 2 is not an odd number. When we pick 3 and we divide 3 by 2, or we are sharing 3 oranges to 2 people, what it means is that each one will get 1 orange remainder 1. So once there is what? A remainder, then 3 is an odd number. So for odd numbers, we look at, so -7 is an odd number, -5 is an odd number, -3 is an odd number, -1 is an odd number. Now we cannot say 0 is an odd number, right? So we have +1, we have +3, we have +5, and still counting. So there are numbers preceding -7, which are also odd numbers, and we have numbers after 5, which are also odd numbers. So any number that after dividing it by 2, you are getting a remainder of 1 is an odd number. So 15 is an odd number. Why? Because 15 divided by 2, we are going to get what? 7 remainder 1. So it makes 15 an odd number. 18 is not an odd number. Why? Because 18 divided by 2 will give you 9 remainder 0. So any number that we divide by 2 and gets a remainder of 1 is an odd number. Okay, let's move to even numbers. So for even numbers, there are also numbers which after dividing it by 2, we will get a remainder of 0. Or after dividing it by 2, there is no remainder. They are what? Even numbers. So any number that you divide by 2 and the remainder is 0, that number is an even number. So whether it is a negative or a positive number, it is what? Whether it's a negative or positive whole numbers, then that number is an even number. So we have numbers preceding, I want to start from -8. So -8 is an even number because -8 divided by 2 will give you -4 remainder 0. -6 is also an even number because -6 divided by 2 will give you -3 remainder 0. -4, another odd even number. -2 is also even number. Then +2. Okay, so 0 is an even number. Why? Because 0 divided by 2 will give you what? 0 remainder 0. Then +2 is an even number, +4 is an even number, then on and on and on. So any number when after dividing it by 2 you get a remainder of 0 is an even number. And in the other way round, when you are getting a remainder of 1, then it qualifies to become what? An odd number. Now let's look at prime numbers. So for prime numbers, it's any positive number that is divisible only by itself and 1. Prime numbers are any numbers that are divisible by itself and 1. So what it means that they have only what? 2 factors. So any number that can what be divisible by itself, what it means that when you divide it by itself, we are what going to get a remainder of what 0. And in the same way, only one, so it means they must always have what 2 factors. So let's look at an example of a prime number. So 2 is a prime number. Why? Because 2 can go into itself, right? 2 go into itself 1 time, remainder 0. These two again, only 1 can go into 2. So 1 will go into 2 times, remainder what 0. So 2 is a prime number. Let's look at 3. 3 is also a prime number. Why? Because 1 can go into 3 times, remainder 0. 2 will go into 3 1 time, remainder 1. So it means 3 is not divisible by what? By 2, right? But 3 will go into itself 1 time, remainder 0. So 3 is a prime number. 4 is not a prime number. Why? Because for 4, 1 can go into 4, 2 can go into 4, 4 can go into itself. So it means the factors are 3. Don't forget I told you prime numbers have only 2 factors. What it means that they are divisible by only itself and the number 1. So 4 is not a prime number. Let's look at 5. 5 is a prime number because 1 can go into 5, remainder. So 1 can go into 5 times, remainder 0. And it's only 5 that can go into itself again, remainder 0. When we use 2, you see that 5 divided by 2 will give you 2, remainder 1. But what we need is that the remainder should be 0. When we use 3, 3 will go into 5 1 time, remainder 2. So because there's a remainder, then 5 has what? Only 2 factors, which is 1 and itself. Then 7 is also a factor. 7 is also a prime number. 11 is a prime number. 13 is a prime number. Okay. So any number that has only 2 factors, which is what? Itself and 1, qualifies to be a prime number.